2 years ago, I joined a friend's new server, which had been modded so that the most valuable resources, emeralds, diamonds, and netherite, no longer spawned naturally in the world. You had to buy them, and the currency was gold. You would bring in gold that you had found, exchange it for cash, and use the cash to buy the materials you needed, like a modern-day prospector. Considering myself a veteran player by that point, I thought, well, I know where the gold is. It's in the Mesas. Feeling myself quite smart, I loaded up on gear and headed out across the world to find the nearest mesa, where everyone else dutifully set up camp just a couple hundred blocks from spawn, in forests or plains, nice and hospitable, even if it wasn't the richest land. I trekked thousands of blocks out to find just the right place. Now, one of the things I always do when I go mining is to plant an oak tree. They're easy to grow in small spaces and will produce both food and lumber. So when I finally reached my destination, ready to climb into my first cave, I plunked down a block of dirt and suddenly I found myself falling. My seemingly innocent move had caused the sand under me to collapse, and I died on the bottom of a previously hidden ravine. I respawned thousands of blocks away back at World Spawn. Hurriedly, I started running back to where I had died. All of my gear bobbing on the ground was on a timer to disappear. I grabbed whatever I needed on the way to get me back there as soon as I could, but in my haste, I missed a jump as I made my way back down into the ravine, and I died again. Fearing the worst, I threw myself headlong across the world using every speedrunning trick I'd ever learned, only to get there and find it was too late. Everything had despawned. I'd lost everything. All of my tools and armor, all of the gold I'd already dug, all the materials I was planning to use when I got there, even my sapling. It was all gone. I was going to have to start over again. At that point, I really wanted to give up. I wanted to just log off that server and never look back. I wanted to quit Minecraft altogether. Instead, I made my way carefully out of that ravine, taking my time. There was no rush to start over, no time limit on getting myself back together. I found a forest not far away, I grabbed a little lumber, and I made my way back to the ravine. That ravine may have been my end, but it was also going to be my beginning. I built a bridge across it and built my house on top. Out of the roots of a tragedy, I used my loss to make something unexpected and better than I could have imagined. It ended up being one of my favorite builds, of which I'm still quite proud. Now here's what I learned through all of this. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to end up on top. There are times in life when you find yourself in a deep, dark hole, having lost everything, facing the prospect of having to start entirely over. It's easy in those times to want to give up, to let grief take you and drag you down. Pain can be addictive, and it feels so good to just stay there and wallow in the fear and the anger. While it's important to take some time to heal, to mourn what you've lost, it's also important that you don't give up completely. It may be the end of a chapter, but it's not the end of your story. In the memory of who and what you have lost, in the hope of who and what you might be, take a deep breath and rebuild. When you use what you have learned through your experience, burning the pain as fuel, you will find that you are stronger than you can imagine. Sometimes tragedy and trauma can leave us feeling like we've been smashed and shattered into a million pieces, not sure how we'll put ourselves back together. But I've learned that rebuilding isn't about going back to the way things were. Like a mosaic, you can learn to use the broken pieces of your past to make something new and beautiful.